question of the week?
The question of the week is: as a child, what did you wish to become when you grew up? Charles never grew up, so it's it's what it is.
I want to grow up. See, I was indoctrinated by TV. And so I believed in love because I saw Sesame Street. And then I believed I didn't have to grow up because I saw the Toys R Us commercials. And I could never go to Toys R Us. So that was my goal as an adult. What's the go there?
You were like the kid from Dream On.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? The from that show, like the HBO show. They never knew because all he did was live off TV.
TV, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. What did we want to be? Well, Joe, what did you... If you say Mormon, so help me, I'm going to leave. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to program video games when I was younger.
Okay. You're kind of close.
Not
you
just
don't
play them.
Games.
Not just play them, but program them.
Make them. Yeah.
That's interesting. A lot of people don't realize, kids are like, they play them. I want to make a living doing this. But you were like, no, I want to make them. I want to actually contribute to the downfall of society.
I remember when I was like 7 or 8 getting into a DOS text screen and thinking, hey, if I just describe it, it'll do the game for me, right? So I just started typing up a description of a game, and I'm like, why isn't it working? But no,
It's still way ahead of your time. You needed Chat GPT. You were prompting.
That's right.
You was a prompt engineer.
You were a prompter. You're a prompt engineer. That's amazing.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to do, and what I ended up doing is becoming a software developer. So I don't make video games, but it's along those lines. It's not far off.
I mean, you made me click through 15 different screens to get my insurance coverage, but sure, it's not a video game. Well, Andrew says I wanted to be a rock star as a musician and I wanted to be a rock star, and as a musician and music teacher, I feel I achieved my dreams. You know what? That's awesome.
That's what's up.
As you can tell, I've also wanted to be a rock star. And while I decided not to fight the fight of the garage band, I think I did okay. I think I came out pretty good on the rock side of things.
I mean, you got the hair, thing going. Just make it. You work that into the mix.
Hey, I earned the name Rock God of Podcasting. Let me tell you, when I walk into the room, you think you're in a metal concert, and everybody starts thrashing. It's fine. Bob here says I wanted to be an Olympic swimmer. Not growing taller than 5'10" killed that one. Really? Sure.
I don't. Yeah, I was like, I don't.
Bob Phelps
normally associate height with that. So,
but that was Michael Phelps' thing. Like, he was really super tall, and I think he had extended armpits, like a fish, right? I think he had
armpits.
Yeah, I think that was his secret weapon, and he's just genetically gifted.
He's got webbed armpits.
Yeah. He can also paraglide, fly off the cliff. It's crazy, But yeah, so good for you, Michael Phelps.
But I still didn't think so. He's missing out on 2 dreams. He's too tall to be a jockey and too short to swim.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I guess water polo is totally out of the question.
Yeah, Bob. By the way, to be on a nerd show, I'm such a nerd. I wanted to be a paleontologist.
Nice.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, we all like dinosaurs, everyone's like that. But I was like, no, let me excavate. Let me dig up fossils. Let me, try to figure out I found chicken bones in my backyard one time, and I was like, yo, I found a dinosaur.
That's awesome.
I was so excited about it. So yeah, I actually wanted to be a paleontologist. Later I wanted to be a rapper and a producer, and I did music stuff. But when I was younger, I wanted to be a paleontologist. That was my thing.
I'm gonna guess, looking at you,
like Ross. Like Ross from Friends. Yeah. I was I know what that means because I wanted to be a.
I'm gonna guess you were not a child when Jurassic Park came out.
Oh God!
So
no.
So what? No. So you really, truly just
the
I guess dinosaurs caught your attention.
Books. I mean, I was a book guy, so I was a library nerd, and I used to go to the children's library. I grew up on Long Island, New York, and there was a children's library and an adult library. I don't know if that happens everywhere, but in my neck of the woods, there was a children's library, and next door was the adult library. And I would read all the books in the children's library to the point where I kind of ran out of books. And I was like, I read everything here. Can I go to the adult library? Like, no, you're not 12 yet. They were 10. And I was like, yeah, but I read all this stuff already. And then, so the library person would like write a note and put it in with my little children's library. Not that kind of adult library.
Random kid coming in.
But, and as I want to go to the adult, not the adult section of whatever. And they would write a note, and so I go, and I'd be able to use my children's library card in the grown folks library. It doesn't even sound any better. So to the point where I started reading like books in the like intelligent library, whatever. I'm trying not to. And then they got to know me, so I was like the only kid in like my town that was allowed to use the other library.
The slow kid library.
There's a book nerd. So the point of the story is that's where I got like dinosaur stuff from. Like that's where I got my interest in stuff.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah.
Andrew Wade.
No.
Andrew says all you can read buffet is a good one. Oh, so the other night we were talking about how I wanted to be vet and I take care of 3 monkeys. Oh, that's your wife.
That's my wife.
Nice. Good one.
But we were talking about listening to eclectic music and just wide ranges with our kids and stuff. And Earth Station Boo popped in and said polyamorous. That came up today. One of my kids went from some like hardcore rap to it was Jason Mraz, I'm Yours. And I'm like, that's a hard transition to make. Good. And then I told my wife that she thought it was a great term too.
Polyamorous, brilliant.
Growing up, man, I wanted to help people. I wanted to be a cop and protect the innocent. And then later I was like, screw that noise. Because at 14, I was 6 foot tall and already like 300 something pounds. I was really overweight. And,
so you should have been a swimmer.
Yeah,
you could have stolen, his dream.
So that's what I guess I should say be a performer, because I've definitely grown up to be that. But at the time, we're talking about the late 80s, early 90s, right? To be creative that's celebrated, you more and the energy that I want to do is rock star. And so I did. I went through all the paths of teen bands and college bands and different things, and then ultimately got hooked into podcasting and just turned that energy there. So I definitely think to a point I've achieved my dream. But yeah, being a police officer, and I'm not. I became a paramedic, so I kind of became police adjacent. I just don't like. Never mind. I was gonna make a joke that Joe would not approve of.
He just doesn't like people, so being a paramedic, he can decide who gets to live or not.
There is that, I guess.
All right. I guess. You're about to do CPR. You're like, you know what? Get a load of this guy. Get it.
Let's see. We've got Valencia Burns commenting. I wanted to be a singer when I was younger, but I have been interviewed on internet radio.
Okay.
Nice.
There you go.
All right.
You've played the part of being paparazzi'd.
And then we do have a speak pipe from Steven. We played it last week, but we're going to go ahead and play it again because it answers this question. So,
hey, friends, it's your old pal Steven here calling because I was looking at this question of the week of, as a child, what did you wish to become when you grew up? Man, as far back as I can remember, when I first wanted to be something, and I knew that was a concept, I'd been watching a lot of Dragnet. Now, this might not surprise you because I'm kind of an old man in a young man's body, but I watched a lot of Dragnet when I was 5 or 6, and I wanted to be a detective. My mom said, you can't do that. You might get shot at, and I'll worry about you all the time. So I switched it up and said, I want to be a comedian. Then I wasn't very funny, or at least that's what my dad told me many years later, that it wasn't funny. And I was like, okay. So then, like most kids, I grew up a little bit, wanted to be a rock star. And while I wanted to be a rock star, I built a website for my band and a bunch of other stuff and got into computers while being a guitar person. Still wanted to be a rock star, then wanted to be a filmmaker. I went to school for that for a semester. And then it all came down to, hey, you can make money doing that computer stuff that you like to do. Really? That was a shock. I thought I was too dumb for that. And anyway, I became a computer guy and kind of still am. So yeah,
kind of.
Thanks for going on that journey with me. You guys are amazing, and have a great night doing your show. It's wonderful. Bye.
Thank you, Steven.
All right, shout out to Steven. It's really, we talk about it all the time, Charles. We talked about it the other night. Like, there's that correlation of like music to computer. There's a music to computer pipeline.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's, sometimes when you're working with equipment and garage banding, you got to make things work that, you're basically an engineer. You're an impromptu engineer. You have to figure things out. So you have that kind of mind. Some people just play. Even if you just play, like you're figuring out how to coordinate and all that stuff. And I don't know, if you happen to also get, I think early in life, like get access to computer stuff, folks our age or y'all age, I'm a little older, I think, but generally speaking, that also interests you in the same way that music and production and equipment and so like I always say, like for hip-hop, like DJs are super engineers, we're super nerds because we have to figure out how the equipment comes together, we have to do signal processing, we have to do wiring, and sometimes we got to strip the wires with our teeth and put them together and tape them up, like but that's music, but it's also engineering. And so there's I always say there's a music to computer pipeline. And this is how nerdy I get with y'all. I also had a BBS, a bulletin board system.
Yep. Right? You had to dial into it.
Yeah. So I started one. Like we used to go into them, and now I started one. So here, this is the ultimate coalescing of my nerddom. So I'm a hip hop guy and I'm a BBS guy. Those usually don't mix, but there's enough of us out there. My BBS was called DOS Effects.
I like it.
You see what I did there? So yeah, so there's a music to computer pipeline, and I think this has to do with a lot of that, engineering and basically computery, what ended up being computery stuff. I think our minds are built the same way.
Yeah, it's a flow. Like if you understand music, it helps you understand math, and
right.
I just figured out how things programmed in, like you're talking about. Andrew says, my uncle did one semester at Juilliard, realized he wasn't a concert pianist. So he studied computer programming at RIT, and at one point was executive VP for Apple.
Well, there you go.